Is a nation's destiny set by its birth rates? The announcement that Japan's population fell by almost 250,000 in 2013, the fifth consecutive annual fall, brought warnings that the country may be in terminal decline. The economic decline that occurred during Japan's so-called lost decades is a symptom of problems brought on by demographic change, wrote Reiko Aoki, an economist at Hitotsubashi University in Tokyo last year. Japan has the world's oldest population, with a median age of 46 years, an average lifespan of 84, and a quarter of the population over 65. But this doesn't have to mean a gloomy future. What happens in the coming years might even point the way for other countries. Japanese longevity can't compensate for its ultra-low fertility rate, just 1.4 children per woman. Hard-working Japanese society has embraced voluntary mass childlessness, says Nicholas Eberstadt, a demographer at the American Enterprise Institute in Washington, D.C. 1 in 4 don't have children. Some European countries also have low fertility rates, but they have migrants who move in and make up for the loss. Japan doesn't. The conventional view is that this is bad news for 2 reasons. Shrinking numbers slow down economic growth, and the aging population is a major financial burden. But Eberstadt says there is another side. The proportion of Japan's population that is dependent on those of working age isn't unusual, he says. It's just that it has almost twice as many people over 65 as children. Consequently, Japan spends less on education, and because the Japanese are the world's healthiest, medical bills are also lower than in other nations. Japan's economy has been growing slowly for 2 decades now, but this is not necessarily bad news for its workforce, says William Klein of the Peterson Institute for International Economics in Washington, D.C. Thanks to the falling population, individual income has been rising strongly, outperforming most U.S. citizens. With 127 million people, Japan is hardly empty. But fewer people in the future will mean that it will have more living space, more land per head for growing crops, and a higher quality of life, says Eberstadt. Its demands on the environment for food and other resources will also lessen. Japan isn't alone in its demographic decline. Russia, Romania, and Hungary all follow the trend. For many more, it is being delayed by immigration, but the global population bomb is not likely to explode due to growing numbers of people. As Swedish statistician Hans Rosling first noted, the world recently reached peak child, the point where the number of children aged 0 to 14 around the globe has reached a steady level and is therefore no longer rising. Global birth rates have halved in 40 years. They are now below 2.5 children per woman, meaning that global population may also peak soon. So far from being a demographic exception, Japan is the world leader in demographic change, says Aoki. For some, this sounds like a disaster. China last year relaxed its one-child policy, fearing that predicted population decline in the 2030s would cause its impressive economic growth to come to a sudden stop. But others believe that peak population is a necessary first step to reducing our attack on the Earth's life support systems. In that case, following Japan's example may be the right answer for many countries around the world.